Okay, and welcome to Jezza's clone modeling tutorial. Basically, I've got a reference images for us to start off with, and we're going to put it on a plane. Now, I've got smooth highlights on in my front view and my perspective view. So basically, I'm just going to get a plane and draw out a plane somewhere like that. We don't need any, only need one length and width segment, like so. Okay, so at this stage we've just got a plane, so we're going to put our material on, which is male reference image. So if I go to the material editor, which is this guy up here, and I'll just open it up so you can see it. And over here in materials, if I just drag in a standard material into the work area, and by just going grabbing the diffuse color, which is where you usually pipe your image into, and let go, you can see I've got the options bitmap at the top here. So at the top here I've got a bitmap, male reference. Okay, so now the bitmaps on. So I've made a material for the bitmap. So all I need to do is put that onto the image, and you could just do that by doing it this way. There's a few other ways you can do because I've got it selected. I'm just going to grab this and just stick it on the plane layer like that from this side, and this shows standard map in viewport, and I should see my image. Now the image is a little bit squashed because of the size of the plane, so I'm going to match up the image and the plane so it's not squashed like this. Very meaty looking fella there. So what I'm going to do is, over in my material editor, double click on the actual bitmap, and you'll get all the parameters over here of the bitmap. Go to view image. There's the image. Right click it, and you can see the size. It's 613 by 1277. That's quite a large file. So what I'm going to do is, while the plane is still over here, here's our plane, I'm going to change the length and the width to match up so it doesn't distort. So you'll understand that in a second. The length is 1277, but I'm going to make it 127.7, and the width is 613, so I'm going to make it 61.3. So I've just moved the decimal point back to make it. That's better. I wanted it so it fits around this grid down here. So there's our image all set up, well, on our plane. Now we're going to set it up for modeling. Alright, so now let's position our plane and image. What I'd like to do is position it so it's just sitting up on the top of this grid line here. So you see I want it to be in line with this guy and the bottom one, so it's probably about there. It's not too bad. I think that's pretty good. We'll just see what it's like in the other views here. So you can see I've kind of got it lined up there. Okay, so at the back we've got something showing, so what I'm going to do is right click here, go to object properties, and we're going to backface cull, so you don't see anything on the back face, and we also uncheck show frozen in grey because we're going to freeze it while we're modeling. So that means that on the back of here you can't see anything. Okay, so we're going to put going to collapse this to an editable poly, which you can do by right clicking, convert to editable poly, or you can actually right click over here in the parameters and you get it as well, editable poly. So now it's an editable poly. This is the plane I'm working on. I'm going to put a UVW map on it, which will help hold the image. UVW map. Okay. Okay, so now we've converted to an editable poly and we've put a UVW map on it. What we're now going to do is rotate this guy around. So to do that, we need to first move in my front view here, go over to hierarchy, go to effect pivot only, and it's not actually too bad, it's slightly out there, you can see that there, but it should be around about on the 0 on the X here. So if I grab this guy, I can bring it, actually if it's zeroed in there it should be right. It's a little bit out, that one. Okay, so what I'll do is we will just take that off, turn off the effect pivot, and I'll just move him over just that little fraction to the 0, which is just down here. Okay, so now I'll go back to my effect pivot. It's just about right there, I think. I'll just move it over to its in the center there. It's just a little out. Should be alright though. So I'll turn that off. We'll get our rotation out. Hold down shift. We'll put on angle snap up here, so it snaps in 5-degree increments. Hold down shift and bring this guy around to 90. Just go OK. So what we've got now is we've got a side view and a front view there, and because we've turned it into an editable poly, we'll get rid of the extra ones at the back so we don't get confused. So in my front view here, in my perspective view, I'll just put it up here for you so you can see what's going on. I'm going to get rid of the guys at the back here so we don't get confused. So I'll just select the plane again, come back here, go into the modify panel, go down to edit poly, and we're going to grab the edge of this poly and push it in. So when we go down to edit poly, we need to also have to show end result so we can see what's going on. Now I've grabbed the side here and you can see now that I can push it in like so, and if you see there on the push it back into there like that. I'll put the other views on so you can see what's going on. Okay, so we go in there, so we've got that one and that one, and we need to get rid of this guy, so we'll click on him, plane 2, let's see, plane 2, and then we go into the modify panel, down to edit poly, turn on end results, go to edge. We could grab this edge here and we can move that in as well, and you'll see that if we went down to the X down here, that should snap that back in there like that. So now we've got a front view and side view and nothing else to get confused with. So okay, so what we're going to do now is put this image on its own layer. So you go up to this guy up here in Layer Manager. Yeah, we select both the planes. Yeah, come here, create new layer containing the selected object. So there's our new layer, and we'll call that reference images, and we'll freeze that on its own layer. So that should actually be okay. Alright, so we've got that set up. So now we're going to start the modeling. So if I come down here and I start modeling our first bit, which is going to be basically, looking at your image here, you can see we've got a foot there. We've got the front view and the side view. So I'm going to make a box in here, and the idea is to make it so it's the same sort of size as that foot down there, and we reshape that box a bit. So we come in here and we create a box, and I'm going to stick it just about there. You notice that it's in grey. We'll just stick it in like that. Then I'll go back up to our layer manager, and we'll go create a new layer containing the selection. So we'll do that, and this will be our actual model. So we'll call that model, and that should be good. So it's not frozen, but the other guy is. This guy here you can't touch, so that's pretty cool. So we're all ready and set to go. Okay, so we're going to set it all up and model away. Alright, so in these guys I've got smooth and highlights on as well. I'm just going to put edged faces on all the guys as well. Edged faces. I'm sure there's a shortcut to do this all in one hit, but there we go, we've got some edge faces going on there. So that's our view, that's our starter here. So rightio, so I need basically to have a side view, so I'll just get this guy up and running. Okay, so I'm going to set it up a little bit for modeling. So I've got my right view down here, and I'll just grab this guy, because these are the two that we'll be using the most here, and this guy up here too. We'll come down in here like that. Okay, so you can see on your side view here that we're way out with our box here. So select your box, right click your box, convert it to an editable poly. Okay, now if you go Alt X, it makes it see-through as well, so we can see through to the actual picture. So, alright, so what we've got to do is we're going to resize this box. So if I come in here, I'm going to the vertex sub-selection, and we're going to just grab the whole thing and just move it up to where it should be, which is about there. We'll grab these two back guys, or fallback guys, and we'll push them through to about there. These two up here, and push through to there, something like that. I want something to be a little bit like that. You can see what I'm doing there. So then in my side view here, if I go into polys and grab the poly on this side, just that side, the poly. What else is it grabbed? No, that's alright. And it's actually not that poly, it's the back one here we're going to grab. Okay, the back of it. And we're just going to hit the extrude button, or the little box, the little caddy, and just tick it off. And what we do is we manually just drag it back to where it should be, which is kind of about there. Okay, so that's the first little step. So this is sort of the way this is modeled. We come to the top of the guy, and we drag this guy, extrude it again, just tick it off, grab that poly, and we're going to drag him up to this guy's knees, which is about there, halfway between. We also might just grab the rotation while we got it and just rotate it to a little bit onto the side like that, so it goes up on the same angle. So I'll just readjust a few verts in here just to make it a bit more clean. So I've gone back into vert mode and just drag them out. Don't push them too far out of angle. Just drag them out on one of the well, on the X at this stage. These guys down here. Remember, you're grabbing two. You're grabbing one from behind. It probably needs to come in there a bit like that for now. Don't worry about all this. We add all that later. So back to the poly mode. There's your poly selected at the top. So the next bit we're going to do is we'll drag it all the way up again. We'll go in my front view here. So we'll drag it again all the way up. So semicolon will, if you've got it selected, semicolon will give you an extrude automatically. So that's not a bad way of doing it. And we grab this guy and we drag him up to around about where the hip area, which is something like that, about there. Okay, so we'll just have a look in our side view again, just to see what's going on. Yeah, that's about right there. We might need to adjust some of this here because it's a bit out of whack. So if I grab these, I'll go into vertex mode and I'll grab these 4 vertices and just sort of move them over something like that. Okay, so what we'll do is we will grab these vertices over here on this side and we're going to bring them down to just sort of in the crutch there, just about there. And these guys up here, we'll drag them up to right up to sort of that area there. So then you can see that in your perspective view we're getting this sort of thing happening. Yeah, we're checking both ways, so we'll go back to that one in a second, but we've got it up there like that. So the next bit we're going to do is we go back into poly mode, grab that top poly there, hit your semicolon for an extrusion, and we will, in our front view, come in here again, and what we're going to do again, come back to the vertices, and we need to kind of straighten this up a little bit here. So we're just going to straighten up these edges. So I'm just using my X again, and I'm going to bring that over to there like so. I'm in the true front view, so that should be alright. And this guy we're going to bring up something like that. Pretty straight there. Okay, maybe I'll just bring them down just a little bit to about there. Go about there. And then actually what we'll do is we'll come into the side here and we'll grab this polygon. So back into polygon mode, semicolon, shift it out again, go back to my front view, and we'll grab these guys, or this one, and we'll grab him and sit him in about there. Back to my vertices. A little bit out of whack there, it's not too bad. Perhaps I'll just grab those guys there and bring them up till we keep a kind of nice straight thing going on. So if you have a look in your perspective view here, we've sort of done the leg, although we've got a little bit of a lot more work to do, but not that much work. On the side here it needs to be pulled out and stuff. But anyway, what we'll do now, okay, so let's have a look in our front view. Front view here. Let's see what we can do here. Oh, well, that's pretty good there. Let's just grab these guys and push them in a little bit like that, so they're following his pattern a bit. So what we need to do now is grab the top guys. Sorry to do this to you. I'll come down here, and we need to grab those two top polys and extrude them up. So again, you can just go into poly mode, polygon mode, and we'll grab that guy and hold down control, semicolon. Okay, we've got him coming up again. Now there's all kinds of shortcuts you can use, but I'm just doing it the basic way.